No, I must change file.
Okay. Oh. We're being recorded. Yeah, hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties. Like, go for it. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Right, I guess we're getting ready to get started. I think I know, what's your name? Shane. Okay. Yeah, and welcome Zoom people. So we're gonna get started today. Just out of curiosity, I know Christian's new. How long have you been an agent or? February, March. Nice. Hi, and how long have you been? Yes. Perfect. No, how long have you been an agent? 8 years. Oh, nice. And what's your name? Heather. Okay. And then Christian's new. How about online Zoom? How many years? What, can they hear us?
Brand new here.
Brand new. Okay. Anyone else?
I have been since 2017. This is Andrea.
Okay. Nice. Awesome. So kind of a variety. So that's fun because then we can get input from more experienced people who've been doing it and stuff for a little bit. So always good. So you guys have been working on lead generation, following up with leads, growing your database. And today we're going to kind of follow up with win the buyer, which is kind of, you have somebody who's ready to move forward and locking them in and getting ready to go. So today we're going to cover what an A buyer is, which you guys have kind of been covering, getting the appointment, preparing for the consultation, benefits of that, conducting the buyer consultation, what to expect, how to present it, getting the buyer agreement signed, recaps, ahas, we always love ahas, right? And then, of course, the daily success. So the right approach for a close is meeting. For a meeting is the only approach, just ask for it. So step one is asking the buyers, are you ready to buy? Are you ready to purchase? Let's set an appointment so you can get them in, go over your value proposition, find out what they want, and you have to ask for it. A buyers, again, you guys have kind of covered a lot of this. What is an A buyer? Yeah, somebody that's ready to go, that's pre-approved, and has a timeline. We like it when they have a timeline. Hey, I need to be in the house by June. Maybe somebody who's, hey, I have 6 months, or I have time to look. I think the market's going to change. I want to wait. That's not necessarily a buyer, right? They're not going to move forward right away. So you kind of like people who have timelines and have an agenda. They're pre-qualified and ready to go. So again, we're kind of going over just the steps, the leads. We'll get you an appointment, prepare for the buyer consultation, and then the fun part, like shopping for a home. And you want to make sure that you have a contract in place or that they're committed to you prior to shopping for a home. Any thoughts on why? Any experienced people want to tell us why online, Heather? Yeah, you don't want to waste your time. And that can happen. Or maybe you're helping somebody and they haven't signed. If they stop in an open house or they stop at new construction, they can very easily sign a contract and get into something, and you're not able to help them at that point. We're already to our first aha. Anybody having a chance to talk to buyers, or had anybody not really want to move forward with the contract or services? Not too much.
I've talked to people that want to buy, but their credit's not there yet.
Not quite ready credit wise. Yes. And those ones you kind of nurture and lead. Anybody online?
So I had a conversation with somebody who said they wanted to buy, but I haven't been able to pin him down. He's canceled a couple times that we've tried to set up an appointment. So, and yeah, but that's about it.
Okay. So I know, keep trying, right? Sometimes they're a little elusive, or sometimes they're just not sure about moving forward and how to. So definitely keep moving with them.
And I did put them on a smart plan just so that they're getting neighborhood nurture.
Perfect. I love those ones. Do you guys know what the neighborhood nurture is? For those who don't, it's in command. So you can set them up and it will pull houses in an area that they're watching. So you put in the addresses and it'll pull up and it sends them homes and what the homes are valued at and pricing. So if you have current clients also, those are a great way to stay in contact with your current clients. So all of my past clients, I've put their addresses in, and every month they get an email that shows, hey, this is what's happening in your neighborhood now. And it gives them current homes for sale and sold prices. And that automatically goes out. And then they can click on it. I get notifications. I can see if they're looking at it, or if they've added areas, maybe they've added a new subdivision, which then gives me a great reason to call and, have a conversation and kind of see what's happening in their lives, or if they're moving or want to be moving, or maybe interested in an investment home or something as well. So those are, I love the neighborhood nurture. With buyers, of course, you want to respond right away to any lead inquiries you have. And if you're working a particular area, by knowing that area and knowing that information, you can respond easier. Somebody's interested in a dog park and you are familiar with that area, you can let them know. Make sure to get valid and complete contact information, of course, emails, phone numbers, all of that. Determine their motivation. So you can, again, help make sure that they're on a timeline. If their lease is up, if they're renting and their lease is up in October, you want to start 2 to 3 months before, so you can make sure that they're qualified, credit ready, and ready to go. And then, like we were just talking, setting the appointment. If you can set the appointment and the date as soon as possible. I had this week a great opportunity for this. I had a referral from an agent in Kansas City, and his buyer, I called his buyer, we got talking, and we're going to set an appointment. And because of his schedule, we didn't set the appointment, and we went over a bunch of stuff over the phone. Downside with that is you don't get to present everything up front. So you have a lot of value, and we have a lot of things that we do, which we'll cover in a minute, but you end up doing it in sporadic parts. And if you can do it all at once, they get the full value and can ask you questions up front, which will help solidify the relationship. So when you're getting ready for your close, we're going to show them the benefits, like what we have to offer, right? What are some of our benefits that we can give to a buyer?
If you hot sheets, get on listings, there's some stuff all on the market.
Yes, yeah. And our system, the MLS system, updates every 15 minutes. And so if they're looking at Zillow, there's a time difference for that information to be transferred over. So our system is updated quickly to get the newest information. What would be another benefit that we have that we can provide maybe within our office at team meeting, the room is filled. There's a lot of times we'll hear an agent say, hey, this house just fell out. Here's the information we have. It's a seller finance. They need to close right away. It's an investment property, and you get that information before it gets changed on the MLS. So then you can act quicker for your clients. Other, can we show them new construction? Do we have a lot of new construction type agents and stuff also in our office and stuff that we can coordinate all of that, get them that information? That's one thing, is just kind of teaching them some of our benefits. What about tie downs or take back closes? Do you guys remember what those are? So a tie down might be, or a good tie down is, you know, Joe, you're working full time. Do you see a benefit with me being able to search homes for you and provide that information? He's going to give you a yes or no. You know, we get that time period. A take back close, the buyer I told you that I talked to this last week, one of his hesitancies for signing a buyer broker was getting committed to someone and being locked in. And I told him, you know, that's a great question. I understand that fear. The good thing about it is we get to work together, and we may not be a fit, and I may not want to work with you. And that kind of takes them back a sec. They're like, wait, what? You have to work for me, right? You have to do this. No, I don't. I get to choose who I work with. So that's something that kind of gives them, you know, a thought on there. We'll also help them, you know, what they're looking for. Trial closes. Great trial close, or something that I use a lot with my buyers, is I tell them beforehand, every time we go into a house to look at a house, I'm going to ask you if you want to buy it. And then I do that, even if it's, you know, a pathway between garbage, it's a terrible house, you know, I still ask them, hey, you want to make an offer on that one? And the same thing with when you're asking for the appointment, you know, you start, hey, so is next week a good time to meet? We should meet and talk about moving forward on your purchase. Assumptive closes and then tie down. So there's some different closes. And now we're not moving. All right. After all of kind of your work or talking with people, buyers may have objections to meeting. Some of the stuff you want to do, if they have an objection, ask questions. You know, what is your hesitancy to meeting with me? You know, I'd like to meet with you for a half hour, find out what you're looking for, get some more in-depth detail, and find out what your expectations are. And I would love to share what my expectations are with you. Empathize with them. You know, sometimes they have hard schedules. You know, let's work around that schedule. We can find a time that works, maybe morning, maybe afternoon, evening. You can meet at the office, you can meet at a coffee shop, different places. Identify the real issue. A lot of times people will kind of be hesitant, and it's like Christian said, sometimes it's their credit, and nobody wants to come out and say, hey, I have bad credit, or hey, I can't afford a house, or hey, I can't afford to move forward. And so they're going to be hesitant sometimes to move forward on something like that or meet with you because they don't want to admit that that's an issue for them. Back when the market crashed, that was another really big thing people would call to sell their houses. They would be 4 or 5 months behind, but they wouldn't tell you that. You know, it's always something you have to ask up front. So identifying the real issue of why they may not want to meet. Any other ideas why a buyer might not want to meet with you? I know I took the easiest ones. Not a real buyer, yes. So Sometimes buyers have heard that they have to pay you. So that might be something, you know, they're afraid to ask also. Hey, do I have to, you know, pay you? They don't have enough money for that. And so sometimes they're afraid they're going to lock down. What about pressure? Do you think they ever feel pressure? Like, hey, if I meet with you, you're going to strong arm me. I don't like that. I don't want to be in that position. Maybe that's something that, you know, again, you can asking questions and identifying, or if you hear a hesitancy, you know, hey, I hear a hesitancy there. You know, we don't have to make a commitment that day. I just want to talk to you, show you our value, offer a solution, right? Urge them a little bit nicely, bribe them with donuts, whatever. We're to ahas again. Thoughts? Ahas? Questions?
You have a quiet group this morning.
I know. I'm like, I had all this coffee and I'm all today. Everyone's just like,
Well,
"La."
it's hard to hear. Can't hear you very well.
Oh,
With all the HVAC.
oh,
then you
yes.
stop.
And the fridge too. So
If you come up with- I can't hear as much, so.
that's right. Anybody on Zoom have any questions? Experiences, ahas?
I had some really weird experience lately. This is Andrea.
Let's have it. I love weird
Um,
experience.
So I had somebody text me from a California number. They say they want to buy a house cash. And they send me this bank statement saying they have like $6 million in their bank account, but they refuse to talk on the phone.
No.
And so I suspected this was kind of a scamming, you know, from the beginning. So 2 days pass. I'm just kind of, you know, humoring them. And I'm like, well, we gotta, you know, we have to at some point pretty quickly, you know, jump on the phone for a Zoom buyer's consultation. And, you know, they say they can't, they're busy that day. They can't do it. And I say, okay, how about tomorrow? And then they ignore that. And then they say, oh, what's your WhatsApp? And I just said, you know, I don't use WhatsApp. Because I really don't. But I'm just, you know, I'm not going to go forward with a buyer that's refusing to get on the phone. And finally, I just say, you know, we're not going to be able to work together if, you know, you're not willing to get on the phone because, you know, that's, I mean, we're going to have to speak in person at some point and also meet. We got to go see houses. And I just said, you know what, you sound too much like a scammer. And, you know, and they're like, is this the way you treat customers? And I was just like, that's just the way, to be honest. I mean, this just is like a lot of red flags. So this person is going around with 626 area code numbers in case anybody gets a text from them.
No, yes. And there are a lot of scammers out there that you know, that's their MO. And there's a lot of buyers too who won't commit. And again, you will waste your time. You know, you look, they may be working with somebody else. I had a buyer tell me they didn't want to sign the buyer broker after telling me for a solid week that they were unhappy with their other agent, why they were unhappy with their agent, gave me very detailed reasons. But they don't want to sign it because they're afraid it might offend the other agent.
But sometimes they're
Oh.
just so their agent can't show them right that instant. I would did new construction agent.
Oh yeah.
On a model thing. That sounds terrible, but they won't commit to one person. They bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce. If they want it now,
Yes.
and then they're just going to use you.
Yeah.
And then go back to whoever they're.
Yes.
actually-
Yeah.
So that happens a lot.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys could hear him or not, but he was saying he used to work model homes, and a lot of buyers want immediate information. So they're afraid to sign a contract because they want something right now. They'll go find whoever will give it to them right now. And again, if you're working with somebody who doesn't sign, they're out, some of them, running around talking to multiple agents. And again, you're spending time with them and then they sign with somebody else or find something with someone else. And and they move forward. So that's definitely something that happens. Oh, yeah. Oh, perfect.
Okay, can everyone hear that? Can the Zoomers hear me talking?
Yes, I can.
Perfect.
Test. All right. This is kind of the fun part too. The buyer consultation checklist. We're going to confirm the appointment date, confirm the appointment location, ensure all decision makers are there. Very, very important. You don't want to meet with just a husband or just a wife or a spouse or a partner, a son or a daughter without mom or dad. So make sure that all the decision makers are there, because one signature doesn't help. Or again, if they're ready to move forward, but you don't have everybody's signatures, you don't want to move forward there. Complete the buyer guide. So we'll go over that as well. Prepare the meeting space. So again, if you're here at the office, make sure the table's clean. There's multiple offices, conference rooms that you can request. Make sure that you enter your time, you request your time, so you're not in there getting ready to go and somebody else has already booked the room. So prepare your space and review the lead sheet. So you remember what Joe is looking for and you're not remembering what Mary is looking for, and you can actually speak to what Joe wants. And again, be informed and prepared. So the 10 top service areas, where you have your needs analysis. So what their needs are. Is it a yard? Is it no yard? Is a garage important or mandatory? Neighborhood information, again, especially if you're specific or you have a niche market. Pre-qualification, pre-approval, must have, right? You have to have that. Again, you could be wasting your time if you don't. And if you find something that they want to put an offer in on, you can't put an offer in without pre-qualification. The home search, making an offer, negotiating to buy, vendor coordination, your pre-close preparation, closing and post-closing. So these are, again, some of the values that we give to a buyer. So, you know, a lot of times they don't understand either. They think, hey, you're the agent, you're just going to help me find a house. Well, I also coordinate with the title company. I coordinate with your lender. I coordinate with the home inspector, the appraiser, you know, all of that stuff. And let them know, here's what I do. Here's where I share information. And there's another agent involved, another seller involved. Coordinating vendors, if you have to have multiple people come out, maybe somebody check the roof and get a bid for the roof. Maybe they're sending out, want a bid for a fence. You're going to help coordinate all of that stuff for the client so they don't have to. Negotiations, also a huge part of what we do. And so kind of go over these top areas with them. In your buyer guide, when you meet with them, so there's some of the different contents that you're going to want to have in there. You're going to want to have a welcome letter, timelines. So some of the timelines for buying might be looking for the home. We get the home under contract. How long does it take? It takes roughly 30 days. If they're doing USD loan, you're going to be 45 days. How long do we have for inspection? How long do we have for the appraisal? And even if someone's bought a house before, it's been a while, they'll forget. It's always nice to go over what they can expect and what those timelines are. What your home search process is going to look like. So again, are you sending them stuff online? If they find something on Zillow, what should they do? Hey, if you find something on Zillow, I want you to send me the information. I'll check it out for you. For their driving past a house, I've had buyers send me, hey, will you tell me how much this house is on such and such street? Well, it kind of helps, but I need to add, an address or a phone number of the sign or something, so let them know kind of what you need that way too. How to access the KW app. So everyone gets their own Keller Williams app that you can send. As you lock in that buyer, send them, part of your pre-qualification step. Hey, here's my app. Look for stuff on here. Value proposition, again, what you're pledging to them, what your value is. Reasons to buy a home, local market analysis with price ranges. Again, that if you know specifically where they're looking or very detailed, again, information there. Financial worksheet, credit request, interest rates, application, what they're going to expect. Hopefully, if they haven't, some of them already have done that part. Mistakes to avoid and a buyer questionnaire. And then there's definitely more. So you can find all of it in the command under the buyer guide, and you can customize what you want in there. So you can take out different things, you can add, different parts, completely customizable. And then you can always ask agents within the office too. You've probably noticed everyone's more than willing to share and, ask them, hey, can I see your buyer consultation? Can I see your seller consultation? And everyone will give it to you. And then you can tweak it. And nobody cares that you're using their stuff or sharing. Nobody cares. You're going to have the table of contents. So your dream home, your preferences, your neighborhood, buying 101. So kind of what they can expect in that packet. So once you've got them to come in, you're going to go over these things. Some people send it to them prior. I would wait until they actually were in the office with you. And again, if you don't have a neighborhood section, don't put that in your cover sheet, right? So the dream guide, again, you can customize all of these in command and go over. So if you've been talking to them for a little bit, you're going to know what some of their highlights are, but ask them again, talk to them. What are you looking for? What are you expecting in a house? What do you want it close to? What are your halves to? What do you like to? And kind of go over, help them visualize what that is. Building a preference profile, who the main contact is. So who is it easiest for me to get hold of during the day? So if I'm in team meeting and somebody just reduced the price of a house by $40,000 and it's perfect fit for you, who do I get a hold of? Should I call the wife? Should I call the husband? Do you want to text? Do you want to email? Do you want a group text? Is one spouse in a meeting and their phone is going off? So ask again, what's the best way to contact you? Times that I can contact you. Have they gotten pre-approved? Price range? Sometimes they're qualified for a higher price range, but don't want to go that high. Payments. If I found a house today that checked all of your boxes, would you want to put an offer in on it? Again, motivation. This is also a great time to go over your expectations. So what would an expectation of a buyer be? Like, what would one of my expectations or one of your expectations be? A Monday. And it's time change.
Part of it, you're
You guys
right.
are like, don't make me think.
What do you mean, what kind of buyer you would expect? How do you get that part?
If I have a buyer, so if I'm going to work with you as a buyer, I want to share what my expectations are.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, so what would some of your expectations be as an agent?
You want them to communicate with you.
Yes, how you want them to communicate with you.
Like right in the middle.
Speak loud.
One of my expectations is, oh gosh, I hate when they search on realtor.com or Zillow, and especially when the market was hot and then they send me the information and it's already under contract or sold. And so I try to tell them to make sure to search on my website because it has more functionality. You know, they can, I don't know about the Keller Williams, but on the other one I used, you know, it told me when they were online searching, what they looked at. I could reach out and contact them, you know, pretty quickly after they've been searching. And also, I think it's really good to keep reminding them over and over, like if they go into a new build, to make sure to tell the agent, you know, that you're working with them because they get all excited and they forget. So,
Yes.
you know, some new construction won't pay you your commission if you are not on their list as their agent.
Yes, yeah. And I think that's a great expectation too, to ask them up front, is new construction an option that you want to look at? Or do you want to look at existing, you know, pros to existing? It already has curtains and fencing and landscaping. If new construction is, my expectation would be, let's set up a day. We're going to go look at new construction and take 1 or 2 days and go look at stuff that's out there again, so you can compare, and you're with them. You're with them to answer questions. You're with them to help help the new construction agent too, because you have information about the buyer that helps them. The new construction agent there is to help you give information to the buyer about the house. And, you know, so you can both get them tied up into a contract if that's the house that they want and is a good fit. So that would be an expectation. And I think it's fair to give them your expectations of them the same time they're giving their expectations of you, you know. Again, neighborhood insights you can find in Command. So it'll give you all kinds of different neighborhood type stuff. Command also has pre-done Facebook posts, social media posts, all of this stuff is already done, which saves you tons of time. The buyer guide, so how the home buying process works. So number one, you partner with an agent, you get pre-approved. You find your home, you make the offer and negotiate, and let them know what that looks like. You know, hey, we're going to offer. They may counter offer. If they counter offer, we can say yes or no. We can counter offer their counter offer. We can counter offer dates. We can counter offer pricing. And the same with negotiating repairs and stuff like that. You can say yes, you can say no, you can counter the counter. Once they're under contract, what they can expect. What are the timelines? We're going to get your earnest money. We're going to do an inspection. What does an inspection include? Inspection includes a house, includes the neighborhood, anything that you as a buyer want to inspect and that's important to you. Is it important there's a bus stop close by? All of that stuff is part of the inspection. The appraisal will be done before you close, what to expect. Signing, once you sign, do I get my keys immediately? Is it a couple days? I know what they can expect on that. And closing day, when they can align their family to help them move. Loans, we do have affiliate KW loan program. You can check on that. Again, your value proposition, how long you've been in the business, what you do, what your goals are, competitive advantage, what our market center does. Our market center is pretty incredible. The luxury division. A lot of times you hear luxury division, you think Berkshire Hathaway for some of those. And KW actually sells more luxury homes than any other brokerage, which is pretty cool. So we have a lot of really neat stats and stuff like that that you can share. Ahas! For anyone who's still awake and ready to go. Thoughts? Questions? Insights? Something you're going to do. What's something you're going to do that you're excited to put in your consultation forms.
I haven't went, I'm new at this, so I'm like,
If you were looking at it as a buyer, what would you want in your form?
it's a buyer interest rate. You know how they-
Interest
you
rate,
know,
yes. Yeah, and maybe some contacts, right? Some contacts for lenders. And different programs. So different lenders have different programs.
Especially if you're the first time home buyer.
Yeah.
maybe Programs that will.
Yeah, for the first time home buyer too. We also have, I don't know if you guys have heard, they're putting together a list. So if you have a buyer or run across a buyer that speaks a different language, there are agents within the office that you can coordinate with to work with that buyer. So Spanish, French, Portuguese, there's a list. I think we even have a Chinese. And so they do have a list though, so you can coordinate with those agents and help your buyer. We also have the title company up top, the sign language. We have a agent in the office too that has sign language. So again, that could be a barrier with a buyer that would help, right? Kind of help them with their steps. Conducting the buyer consultation. So we're supposed to read this out loud. I'll read it for you guys. I am knowledgeable and caring and the best agent for those clients, for these clients. They'll appreciate my expertise and preparation and choose me to represent them as they buy a home. So it's a gift, right? It's a gift for us to be able to help people. And it's exciting to be able to help people. So welcoming the buyer, be like this guy, not like this lady. Be like excited they're here, not like, whoa, here we go. And it can be, you know, especially your first couple and stuff can be kind of scary or a little intimidating,
That was
possibly.
pre-COVID.
That's right.
I was kind of adjusting to dating.
Yeah, yep, pre-COVID, after COVID. So they're in the office, they're gonna come up to the office, you're gonna do it. Again, you're gonna kind of go over the packet that you've built. So your needs analysis, the wish list, you know, what they want in the kitchen. Do they entertain? Do they have 8 kids? Do they have just a dog? What they're gonna do, what their wish list looks like. No love letters. If you haven't heard of a love letter, when the market was super crazy, the last year and a half, 2 years, people would write a letter. So if I'm a buyer, I'm gonna write, Mr. Seller, I loved your house. I can picture my kids coming down at Christmas time. And then just a story, which of course you hope gets the seller emotionally involved, tied to you, and will pick your offer. These have been determined more of a liability. So again, lawsuits can happen because of them. You know, maybe somebody could say, hey, the seller picked their offer over mine because they have a family and I don't. Or Christmas, you know, we're Christians and they're Christians, or whatever the case may be. They can be a liability. So let your buyers know up front that we don't do those. We won't do those. If they insist on giving one, take it, don't send it. And if you have any additional like detailed questions, talk to the broker. You can kind of go in more details of what they've seen or why we do or don't do that. More ahas.
I think that oftentimes I'm new to real estate, so I almost see myself more as definitely in the buyer position when I'm listening to you. Because when I got remarried and I was very much in the position because my husband was still living in Vegas before we got married. And so he would be here part of the time that I was dealing with my agent And it was brand new to me, even though I'd purchased homes before, it was me. You know,
Yes.
and I really needed somebody, like, as I've been taking my classes and I'm done with them now, thank goodness, but her word that she, Cheryl Milton, I think is what her
Yeah,
name-
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, her word is championing all the time through the whole 120 hours, you know?
Oh, yes.
But it really is about, you know, being that person's, you know, you're there
Yeah.
for them. And who's now my friend, my real estate agent, she truly was that person. She was like, what do you need? You know, where are we at? You know, she would
Yes.
check in with me, and she made me feel comfortable in the process. You know, I thought, I know I can lean on her for any questions that I had, even, you know, I could shoot her a text whenever. I think that's, you know, as I'm looking at these slides and hearing, well, that's so much of it is just really helping your person feel confident in you.
Yes.
And because there's so many agents out there, you can
Yes.
choose whoever, right? You could go
Yeah.
back to, it's like Shane.
Yeah.
What Shane was saying, how they'll go from one person to the next person, who's gonna be there for me, you know, I want my answers right now. And I'm kind of that person.
Yeah.
And not saying that I would jump person to person, but I am the person that I want answers, like right now, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And I think that that's how most people are when they start shopping and they know they're in the position to buy or sell, whatever, you know, it's like, we're ready to go now.
Yeah.
You know, some people are not, but when you get that person who really is, you want to be there to create that list. What are we looking for? The whole discovery process, you know,
Yes.
and then letting them know how they can be confident in you and that trust factor,
Yes.
you know, and it's because I definitely 100% felt that with my agent. And it helped me so much being that I didn't have my person, you know,
Yeah.
here with me to, you know, kind of, yeah, we could talk on the phone, but sometimes it was just like, I needed to have a conversation right now. And she was Johnny on the spot all the time.
That's
Not
awesome.
that you're not going to be busy, you
Yeah.
know, but I know she'd get back.
Yeah.
So
That's,
I don't know. There was just a little side.
yeah.
note.
No, I love it. And
Yeah.
I think that's huge because we are, like you said, the champion, you know, we are there to represent them and to help them. And oh my gosh, at times you're going to feel like a counselor, right? There's going to be times that people fall apart, you know, suddenly like that, like they're alone. Their spouses in another state working or living and they're going to fall apart, right? And you're going to be like, okay, stuff. And you're there for them. And like that, let them know, or let them know, hey, I do have other clients. Again, I will call you back as soon as I can, leave a message, because people they get hopping and they get excited and I want this information right this second. And, you know, right now in our market, in our lives, everything is instant, right? Instant, instant, instant. And so that would be another expectation thing that you would want to go through in the consultation. You know, if you, you know, expect something right away, I'm going to do my best. If I'm at an appointment, I'll call you right back. Or, you know, again, hours, even if you have specific hours that you're going to work or not work, or, and make sure that they know that you'll get back with them and then do, right? Do.
Yeah, because I think, like, even looking back on my experience, which has been, I don't know, like 5 years ago now. But looking back on that, the neighborhood that I bought in was the neighborhood that I raised my children in, but I built my home in that neighborhood, but then I was buying one of the smaller, it's one of the cottages.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
out in Cedar Hills. And everything turns fast. And so
Yeah.
I was like, we need to like, get moving. You know, it was that moment of, if we don't make a move, somebody else is going to come in. It doesn't even matter if the market's hot or not. That little street there that I live on, they just move quickly. And
Yeah.
I knew that ahead of time because I lived in the neighborhood for a lot of years before that. And so that's part of the anxiety for a buyer is if we don't get in and we don't, you know, but also then that's the responsibility of the agent to go, hey, look, this is kind of where we're at in the market, right? I mean, just to kind of help them understand
Yes.
too. But then also you might have someone who does kind of understand that.
Yeah.
And you're just like, hey, you're not here quick enough for me. You know, there's so much anxiety that I think goes on
Yeah.
in the process of it. I don't know if that's what you experience.
Yes,
but I
absolutely.
just remember those types of things for me because it's such a real thing. I mean, I can't be the only one that was feeling all the different things that I did during that process. you know?
Yes, yeah, it is.
So-
There's a lot of anxiety and stuff, and explaining, to them, hey, we're here. Our next step is this, or they're like, hey, I want to write an offer. Okay, great. I'm going to go write the offer. I'll send it to you at this time. I'm going to get the pre-qualification letter. I'll send the pre-qualification letter with the offer to the agent. I'll call the agent and let them know it's there to expect it. Let them know what those steps are, because it will alleviate their anxiety and stuff, or their fear of, or even just their questions. Sometimes they're like, I wonder what's going to happen. And they may be afraid to ask, or, just not confident asking. Sometimes that happens. And so by going through those steps, then and let them know, hey, they have until tomorrow at 5 to respond. I'll let you know as soon as I hear something. And then they know, okay, she's got me, as soon as she hears, it's gonna call me
Kinda
and
have to
stuff.
communicate, but then set boundaries with buyers who tell you.
Yes, yes,
I'm like, it's Easter Sunday. I'm
Yeah.
at church with my family, having dinner. I want to ask you a question and I want to meet now.
now, yeah,
and Let's meet for 5 minutes. And I'm like, no,
yeah,
no,
today.
I won't do it.
yes,
And they weren't a real buyer
yeah,
to begin with, but they wanted me to drive an hour to meet them.
to see,
It was a cultural thing too.
Yeah.
They're from India, so it's very different. They have a
Okay.
different view of
yes, yeah.
buying and selling.
Yeah, yeah, and you will find different buyers that that's a great thing to bring up, like culturally, different buyers, different cultures have different, not agendas. That's totally the wrong word, but different expectations, of what should happen and what will happen. There's certain cultures that the man makes all the decisions. The woman's there, that's it, and you talk strictly to the man, right? And then there's others that it's joint. And so each one's going to be a little bit different.
For
But
some, you have to say, listen, doesn't matter if you call all 15 of us, you're not getting the full deal.
yes,
This is the deal.
this is what it is, right? Yeah. So kind of setting, again, just those expectations and all of that type stuff, because that's a big thing of what they can expect and what you're going to do. Signed agreement. So closing for the agreement. Oh, I guess we closed. So asking for, hey, we want you to sign this. Are you ready to move forward? Yeah. What do you do if you ask them and they say no? So you just went through your whole presentation and they're like, hey, so here's the contract, the buyer's broker contract. Let's go over it, and you go over detail. And what if they still say no? You do. Yeah.
Why would they not?
Ask them why. What is their concern? Is it, hey, I'm concerned that they're locking into a 6-month agreement. Okay, let's do 3 months, right? Or in this market, it's going to take longer. Like that one guy, he's like, well, if I'm not, the last agent I worked with didn't meet my needs. I said, great, well, let's do it for a month. If you're unhappy, I'm not meeting your needs, you feel I'm on a different page than you are, then I can refer you to someone else. We can be done. I said, because 9 times out of 10, I'm probably feeling it too. And I'm not enjoying the process either, right? Stuff. And again, that kind of takes them back, like, well, wait, what? You don't want to work with me? Not necessarily. Maybe we're not a good fit. Maybe you're going to be calling me every night at 10:30 at night and expecting me to answer, and I'm not going to. And so kind of just going over those, asking more questions. What's your concern? What would, what would bother you about signing this? Is there a specific reason? Is there something that I haven't covered? And then I think that's it. Yeah. Any questions?
Can you fire a buyer if you have a buyer
Yes.
agreement? Can you release them?
Yes, you can. Yep.
Less release you.
Yes. I know, gosh, we ran through this super fast. Yes, so if it's not working with a particular buyer, and you can refer them to someone else. So there's been times that for specific reasons, like I had one seller that it just wasn't working, and I knew a particular agent in the office would be perfect for them. And so I tried to fire him, he wouldn't go. Stuff, but you can refer them to somebody else, or you can completely and I have had a buyer that I've done that with. It just wasn't working. It wasn't working for them, wasn't working for me. And I just released them from the contract. So you can do that if it's not working. And you can also redefine expectations again, have that hard conversation. Hey, I don't feel like this is working. I feel like you're frustrated. I feel like I'm frustrated. What can we do? What part am I missing for you? Do you need more contact? Do you need more hands-on? Maybe there's somebody who just really likes to find stuff, send it to you, you check it out. Some people, I have one buyer drives me absolutely crazy every time I work with him. He likes to negotiate. He wants to be the one that's in charge, right? And so, there's some people like that. So again, the different personalities, and be who you are. Just be who you are. There's somebody out there for everybody, the same as dating. There's somebody for everybody. There was an agent in our office, and she was so commanding. Like she just, like, who would ever work with her? She's scary, right? She had a huge following. And then there was this other agent, and she was so quiet, so mousy, whatever you want, however you want it. I'm like, how do you ever get anything done? And she had a huge client base. And so, people will gravitate towards you. You'll gravitate towards your particular buyer. And just so be who you are in your work. Any questions from Zoomers out there? Nope. Andrea, anybody?
Can you sorry, my dog is whining and crying.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. Can you repeat the question?
Oh, I just wonder if you guys had any additional questions or ahas.
Well, I
We
was
kinda-
curious, how did you deal with the dude that likes to negotiate? Did you let him, or how does that go?
No, I did it. I did ask him for his benefit, what the key components, he wanted, or kind of really dove into what he wanted in the offer and why he wanted the price he wanted and stuff, just to kind of really make sure that he felt heard and really understand what he wanted me to fight for him. And then let him know that I would be fighting for him, that I would, and so it did work out. And then he was one that liked all of the details, all of the
Oh,
details
okay.
of what
Okay.
happened and what we talked about and stuff. So he is definitely one of my more challenging ones.
Yeah, some of the clients can get so difficult.
Yes. Yeah. What was that, Shane?
Did it end well?
It did. Yeah. Yeah. So we've bought a couple properties together and stuff with him and that, but he is definitely one that's and then you'll get some, and some of those too can be your biggest champions, because when you do hit all of their levels and all of their expectations, and especially when they know, I have another client who I've helped buy 3 different homes and sell 2 of his. He is very, very, very detailed and picky and kind of a hard personality. And so again, he knows that, and he's mentioned several times, hey, I know I'm really difficult. I know I'm really hard. I just love that you listen to me. And, so they kind of get to be your biggest champions. So they can be challenging. I call them EGRs, extra grace required. And I just know, I'm like, oh, it's the EGR. Okay. Or, and again, find out kind of what their thing is. Do they like to be in charge? Do they just want more details? Do they
I struggle with the super analytical.
analytical ones?
Everything has to be on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
That's really difficult. for
Yeah.
me, because they don't want to interact, they don't want to have fun together.
Yeah.
It's just the numbers, boom, 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 that's all, or the contract, boom, boom, boom.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I've had people sit in closing for 4 hours.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Read every word, every piece of it.
Yeah.
Those were not my favorite.
Those are, yeah.
Read every,
Yes.
And the title company will let them, but they'll just say, okay, we're gonna push over here.
Yeah, go ahead and
Stand
read.
first. When you're done, just let us know.
Yeah.
And they go.
Yeah. And then they read through everything. Yeah. Because there's some very detailed people out there and stuff. So yeah, they're kind of fun.
I can imagine that just with working with people over the years, that the people that are a little bit challenging, like you said, they are the ones that are championing you too.
Yes.
But they're typically, if they have a great experience and you end up solving all their issues and working with their type of personality, they're usually the ones that will spread the word too.
Yes.
And they're gonna say, oh, you gotta go,
Yeah.
see this person because they were amazing. I know I'm a little tricky to deal with, but it was like every,
Yeah.
roadblock, it was overcome, and this is your person.
Yeah.
You need to go see this person.
Yep. Call them.
Because typically they know they're challenging.
They do. Yeah, they
you know,
do.
So Clay is taking on my brother right now. I already gave him a forewarning. I said, he's tricky, and I said, but he's like, that's okay, and I said, I'm really serious though. Like, he is a tricky personality. He's the guy that's gonna be the one that wants to negotiate.
Yeah. Oh,
He's gonna let you negotiate, but he's also gonna want to.
yeah. He's going to want to be like,
He's like
yeah.
both,
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're going, can you just like pump the brakes a little bit?
Let me-
There are those challenging people, but at the end, it's like, if Clay wins him over, kind of a situation.
He's,
He's
yeah.
not a lifetime person.
Yeah.
The next deal he wants to do, he will 100% never go to anybody else.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
So the loyalties really lie there once you win that type of person over. And you might be like, oh, here's that person.
Yeah.
But it's gonna turn out okay at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
Yeah. They're
Some
just,
people are hard.
yeah. Some people are just hard, and it's just that process
Yeah.
that, once they're under contract, it's 30 days. You have 30 days and you got it, right? Just make it through that 30-day period once you find something and stuff. So yeah, everybody has their own little quirks. And it's just kind of finding out what their main questions are, what their main drivers are, and how you can help them, because we're here to help them and help them reach their goals and stuff. Whether it's investment property, single family property, and stuff, what all of those are, and being a resource, so again, through the office, if you ever need any sort of information, you can get it. If it's somebody who's doing like an investment property, for example, and they want to know, hey, I want an investment property, but I don't want to manage it. Who do I go to? Well, I have a list, right? I have a list. Let me send you some numbers. Do you want short-term rental? Do you want long-term? Do you want to investigate both options? And then send them that list. If they're like, hey, I really like this house and it's a disaster, I would want it remodeled. Do you know somebody? Yep, we got everybody, right? And if you don't have that person, somebody within the office does, because a lot of us have been in forever. I'm going on 18 years. I have a really good list of people that I can refer that are kind of tried and true. And I know everyone else in the office does as well. So kind of fitting those needs that the buyers have. And some of those up front, it gives you another thing to talk about as you're walking through or as you're doing the investigating period. Hey, do you want a house that's move-in ready? Or do you want something that you can fix up? I want something that can be fixed up. Great, what level? Because I found that sometimes people will say that, and what they mean is they want to paint and they want somebody else to install carpet. So if I find something that I consider needs to be fixed up, they're like, no, it's too much and stuff. So find out the level of degree of fix up, or maybe they're in the trades, maybe they're an electrician, their brother's tile guy, and in that instance, great, let's find something that might need a little more work that we can negotiate a better price on and stuff. So kind of, again, and you find all of that out in our consultation, right? That's the best place to find that detailed information out. Or if they do want a house like that, are they going to move in immediately? Do they have a house they need to sell? Can they stay in that house they sell while they fix that up? Kind of what does that transaction look like? And, that again is the consultation period that you really, really get to dive into all of that information and find out from them what they're looking for and how you can help them hit that. So,
I've had a lot of people that have wanted over the years to downsize. And they say, this is what I want, 1,500 finished. And so I used to just go, okay, and start showing them that instantly. And then we'd walk through the first one and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this.
it's
This is
too
too
small.
And so then I started to ask them, have you ever been inside? And that's this size you're looking for. And then at least we go see one
Yeah.
so that they know right away if they can live with it or not.
Yeah.
A lot of times when they say downsize, they mean they want to rearrange their living
Quarters.
situation, not always necessarily.
Yes.
Have more of an open floor plan or like not so like walled off. And,
Like
yeah,
they want a huge great room, but you can't necessarily get that with
right.
300 square feet. So they want to go to maybe like a 55 plus that has those huge great room setups, but they only have maybe 2 bedrooms.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
want the kids to come back and be too comfortable to stay.
Yes. Yeah. Size. Yeah. And again, during that consultation, so if you were to ask everybody here, including our Zoomers, what the perfect house is. Like if you were to say, Suzie, what's your perfect house? Mine is going to be different than Shane's. Mine's going to be different than yours. Some people views has to have views. I want views. I want views. Others are like yard. I have clients who are like, why would I want a yard? Why wouldn't you want a yard? But it's their house, right? So again, those questions. And then discovery, the buyer's guide on Connect is amazing. It is so detailed. And I would definitely say check that out because even if you send it home with them to fill it out, send it back. Or if you can go through it in the consultation is amazing. So most of the time they're going to get asked, hey, do you want, how many bedrooms? Oh, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a garage in West Shore. That's what they're going to get asked. And the buyer's questionnaire is so detailed. It's, questions like, what do you want your house to say about you? When your friends come over, what do you want it to speak? What size, kitchen? Do you do entertaining? Do you do outside stuff? It's very, very detailed. And it helps them come to a conclusion also about what they want in a house, because sometimes they haven't really thought deep. You have your surface level things that I'm feeling pain in my house. It's too small. I need an office space now. I work from home, or we just had kids, or all of our kids left. We want to downsize. And they haven't ever really detailed thoughts. So even if they read through it, I like it if they read through it at least, and then it helps them kind of hit more of a level that then I can help them more because they know. The tie down questions too, practice the tie down questions. Those are huge, again, in getting them to self-realize. And then it answers your questions too. So I had a seller who needed to sell. There was a divorce situation. She was on a timeline, needed to sell, and she didn't want to. She didn't want to be in the situation. And so it finally got down to like, hey, we have to do this, right? And she's like, well, I don't know what to do with all this stuff. Do I throw it away? Do I keep it? I said, well, I'm going to guess that you probably know already what you want to do with that. Am I right? And it makes her, she's like, yeah, I have thought about it. I do know. Okay, now that you know what you're going to do with it, I said, what do you need from me? Do you need some boxes? Do you need somebody to come help you? And she's like, I need some boxes. Great, let's get that scheduled. She's like, I'm just overwhelmed. I'm like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do one thing a day. I said, I'm going to send you one task a day to do. Can you do that? Yes. Okay, so do I have your permission to push you to do that? Yes. So I sent her one thing a day to do. And that was it. I'm like, here's your one thing. When you're done, you're done. You can go about the rest of your life. Tomorrow I'm going to send you, the next day I sent her, okay, now do this. She got it done. The next day, this. And by the end of the week, we're ready for pictures and we're ready to get it in the market and get moving. So the tie down questions are, huge, and they'll help with the buyer, buyers and sellers, the whole thing. So practice your tie downs. Scripts, of course, get those down. Yeah.
Susie,
Uh-huh.
how long is your average buyer's consult?
Mine's about a half hour, 40 minutes and stuff, because sometimes longer, but about half hour, 40 minutes. And like I said, I think it's so critical because otherwise you're always catching up. You talk to them on the phone and you tell them this, and then they're like, oh, well, I have to pay you. Oh, no, you don't have to pay me. It's this. Okay, well, I'm going to look at, actually, I can help you look at new construction, and you round all of that up in the consultation. So sometimes it's hard to get people to a consultation because it's time. And everybody is like, oh, I have 5 minutes. I'll give you 5 minutes. I don't want to give you an hour or a half hour, and literally it's the best half hour of their life. It's your biggest purchase you're ever going to make. Is it worth an hour of your time? Just tie down, right? Is it worth an hour of your time? And it is, and they'll agree that it is. And it's like, great, let's meet. When's better, Tuesday or Thursday, right? So about half hour.
I usually do longer ones.
Do
so
you?
I'm always curious
Yeah,
how other people do
I
it.
know. It's hard sometimes depending on the person. It varies, right? Depending on the
does.
person. And
I always take the approach that the more you cover upfront, the less problems you have
Yes.
throughout the transaction.
yeah,
So mine are usually about an hour to an hour and a half.
yeah.
Just so I can dive super deep on a lot of things, which I should
Yeah.
probably shorten it a little bit.
Yeah. No, I love that actually. I don't know if you guys heard her, but she was saying that the more questions and stuff that you handle up front, the less problems you have later. Which is so true. So true. So again, if you can get it kind of laid out and stuff, that I always like to too go through the contract with them prior while you have them there. So they know what to expect. So when it's time, you've already gone through, here's what the contract looks like. Here's what we're going to be putting in and why, and get them prepped and ready for that. So then when it's time, they're not that panic again, like, oh, this is scary. We're entering into a contract again. Because you've talked about it, you've gone over it. And
It also helps them know what to look for when they're in houses.
yes,
If they know what the stages of the contract are and what it will say, they'll know to consider, do we want the washer dryer? Do we want this
yes,
fridge? Because if they've never seen a contract until they go to write the offer, they're no longer in the house.
yeah,
And they have to try and remember
everything that's
all the
in.
things too.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah.
There's a lot to remember. I sold one of the existing homes I've ever sold. I got a call from the other agent after closing, but I went to the house and I was saying one of the shower heads. And the husband had taken them all off because they were like specialty shower heads.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, okay, no, we can't do this.
Like
We
the
gotta
shower
put
head's
them
back.
all back. They all got to go.
Yeah.
They were attached. They
Yeah.
weren't excluded.
Yeah. It's funny. Stuff like that happens, that people will take something that they think they can take or not, or leave stuff that they, don't want. And
Well, I've even been listening, because I haven't taken my exam yet, so I've been listening to Rick Roller.
uh-huh.
And he was talking about all of his YouTube videos, but he was talking about how he was working with the seller, and he told the seller he needed to get brighter bulbs. And so he said, you need to brighten up the house. And so went and put all new bulbs in the house. And then before he, everything was done, the guy went back in and took all the bulbs out. And he goes, what did you take? He's like, why did you take all the bulbs out? And he goes, well, I just bought them. They're brand new. And he goes, they're probably in a bag and gonna be broken by the time that you think you're gonna use them. Go put them back. You
So
know?
for that, the
And
light
people
bulbs
laugh so
stay.
much, 'cause people are so weird.
They do
Just,
weird things.
you just, that's why, it shows better. it's brighter,
Yes.
it's prettier. Leave the bulbs.
Yeah. Leave the light bulbs in the house.
It's the shower heads.
Leave the toilet paper in the house, right? Like, sellers move and they take all the toilet paper too. I'm like, it's toilet paper. At least leave one roll, right? Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
they're funny.
Yeah, they're funny. One of my closing gifts for buyers is I get a bright bag. And then I put like screwdrivers in it, toilet paper in it, paper plates, pizza coupon, like a gift card. And then I tell them anything that you can't lose or you have to have, put in the bag because you'll see it. It's bright. And then, when you move into a house, you always need that stuff. Like, where's the screwdrivers? We don't know. They're in a box, or where's this? I don't know. It's in a box. There's no toilet paper, and you need toilet paper. Everybody's showing up the house. You need to. So I always kind of do that. And then they have everything they kind of need and stuff. And so, throwing like a 5-hour energy and stuff, just kind of humor type things.
What do you do for your buyers package?
I just do closing gifts super personalized, so while we're looking for homes, I'll pay attention to things that they're saying. So if they've got like pets and they're like, oh yeah, our dogs can go here, we'll need to get like a bed that'll fit this space, or they're like, oh, like, this would be a great space for a garden, or if there's a fire pit out back, like pay attention to what they're excited about, and what they say
Yeah.
and need to do, and then you just buy whatever it is
To
that
go
they
towards.
said that they already needed.
It
so-
is.
Yes.
Personal touch of Bill. She was listening. That's awesome.
Yes.
She knows who we are. I
Yeah.
can see that too. That's
The biggest
Yeah.
complaint about realtors is that we don't listen to our clients.
Yes.
So sometimes little things like that can say like,
goes a long way.
yeah,
A
I really did
big-
listen to everything. So then
Yeah, yeah. I think too, after the closing, I know a lot of agents don't call after. Call after. It's huge. It's huge. Just check in on them how to get stuff moved in. And I think a lot of agents don't. They're afraid because there's going to be a problem, right? Well, yeah, we moved in, but this didn't work, and this didn't work, or this was gone, or the light bulbs are gone, right? Like there's going to be problems, and you don't want to. Thought I was done. But that's huge. That's taking care of them. 2 weeks after, call them again. Are you getting settled in? Is there anything I can get for you? Any numbers you need? I think that's huge. Like that's a huge part of follow up is that. So otherwise it feels like you sold them a house and you're just, they were a number, right? They were a number at that point. So, any other questions? Thoughts? If not, you'll be free. Free agents, you're off.
You?
Yes, thank
Suzie,
you.
what is your last name?
Love.
Love. And how do you spell your first name?
Suzie.
Okay.
And love is LOVE.
Thank you.
I actually have people ask that all the time. They're like, how do you spell that? LOVE.
That's
Love.
like it.
Just like the word. Yeah, so thank you guys.
Thank you.
And good luck. Bye, Zoomers.
Thank you so much.
Yes.